Welcome to Political Beatdown. I'm Ben Meiselas, joined by Michael Cohen. Pulled up the phone about 3 minutes ago and saw that New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted. And I had put the phone down literally. I'm on my phone all day going through all of this news at every moment. I had one phone call before going on live on Beatdown, and the news breaking that out of the Eastern District of Virginia, New York Attorney General Letitia James has been indicted purportedly on bank fraud. Lindsay Halligan, the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Virginia, she again personally presented the case. Nobody else from that office would stand by her side when she was there in front of the grand jury. We had heard that the prior head of that office, Eric Siebert, said that there was insufficient evidence to pursue this case against New York Attorney General Letitia James. We can only expect that Senator Schiff will be indicted soon, and that'll be the first wave. And then Trump will go on and start indicting all of his political enemies and just have Halligan one by one kind of make a total mockery of our judicial system, of our democracy. But I'll start here, Cohen, because when lots of people were saying, yeah, that's Trump being crazy, he's not going to actually indict Comey. Everybody says there's no evidence and the case is total trash. And he's not going to actually do the indictment of New York Attorney General Letitia James. There's no evidence there. It's clearly manufactured. What Cohen said is, guys, I'm going to pass it over to you, Cohen. Listen, I'm the guy who was placed in solitary confinement during the first Trump administration for 54 days, Cohen. 51 days I was there. I'm the person I'm there. I know the guy. I'm telling you, he will get the indictments no matter what. He will send whatever stooge in, and one by one, he will get those indictments.
So Ben, I was on a couple weeks ago. I think it was a little over 2 weeks before even the Comey indictment. I called James Comey would be number one. And so MSNBC, The Weekend with Eamon and at that time it was also Molly Junk Fest was on it. They said to me, you're like an oracle. Somehow or another, you just keep predicting things and those predictions come right. And I said, it's not that I'm Nostradamus reincarnated. It's not that I have a crystal ball. It's that I know Trump better than any human being should know another human being. And then they said, okay, well, who's next? And I turned around and I said, it will be Letitia James and then Adam Schiff. I said, both of them. And here's a prediction as well. One thing that Trump understands is that everybody has a skeleton. And when you have the full force of government breathing down your neck, having access to every single email, every text message, every bank account, every movement, they then will ultimately suffer at the hands of this Department of Justice. Now, there's different issues between Comey and Tish James. And I think that Tish James, very much like Comey, will ultimately not only will they demonstrate that they both broke the law, but I do also believe that they will both be held accountable and that they will both have their lives turned upside down.
So we're getting more breaking news here. Let's just show you the moment that the news broke on CNN. Here's when they learned about it. Let's just play it.
Kristen, I understand we have some legal breaking news.
Yeah, we have just learned that New York Attorney General Letitia James, who obviously brought the charges and won against President Donald Trump, has just been indicted by the Department of Justice. This was a case that President Trump wanted to be brought. It's a mortgage fraud case, and it's also what led to the leaving of the U.S. Attorney in the Eastern District of Virginia. Eric Siebert would not bring these charges. We heard he had reservations about bringing these charges, and instead he left that position, and President Trump handpicked Lindsay Halligan to serve as the U.S. Attorney in that district.
Also, the line prosecutor who was assigned the case from the Eastern District of Virginia refused to show up and be there. And Trump was expected to fire that person as well, the line prosecutor who said, she wasn't going to be bringing those charges. So you have Lindsay Halligan going to the grand jury again. Who knows what the hell she's even telling the grand jury, because she's never been a federal prosecutor before, Halligan, right? This is she's never, I don't think, done trials before. There's a duty that you go in and you show exculpatory information to the extent it exists to a grand jury. When you're a prosecutor, you're not legally allowed to hide the ball. If there's something called Brady material that you're aware about that would show or tend to show that the person was not guilty of the crimes, you can't go into a grand jury, because the defense is not allowed into the grand jury. A judge isn't even in the grand jury room. It's based on prosecutors exercising good faith and supposed to follow the law and present the case to the grand jury and ask if they find probable cause. And if there's evidence that contradicts, you're supposed to show that you have to show that to the grand jury. So Cohen, one of the things that we saw, and again, setting aside your own personal views or anyone's personal views, right, at that matter, about Comey, right? I mean, people have very strong opinions, and perhaps none stronger than you, about James Comey and about the types of things that he did ultimately,
and about Tish James and about Adam Schiff and so on and so forth. So yeah, I have firsthand knowledge.
But James Comey's lawyer, Patrick Fitzgerald, former top federal prosecutor, he goes into court and he says, it says here in the indictment, person 1 and person 3 were allegedly authorized by James Comey to speak to the Wall Street Journal. Thus, the entire case is premised on person 1 and person 3. And the case alleges that James Comey lied to the Senate when he said, I had no involvement in authorizing anybody at the FBI to leak to the Wall Street Journal certain facts in 2016 about Russia or whatever, right? And so what the whole case is based on is, whoa, you authorized person 1 and person 3. So the question is who's person 1 and 3? And Comey's lawyer, Fitzgerald, says, we don't know who these people are, and they're going to have to identify. As we've identified a Cohen, it could be this guy McCabe, or it could be another a guy who's a professor now, Richmond, or I think his name is, who was a special kind of counsel at the time. But both of those people have said we were never authorized by him. So who are these magic? At some point, you have to show it, though, right, Cohen?
Yeah, I mean, eventually they're going to have to show it. As to the Brady material that you were referring to, I will not argue with you that technically they are supposed to provide all and full information. In fact, if in fact that there is exculpatory information, truth be told, they shouldn't even bring the indictment in the first place. The Brady material is also, of course, and more significant at the time of trial, that the prosecutor cannot hide information, because the prosecutor is obligated, when you plead not guilty, to provide defense counsel with all documentation that is supposed to be used or will be used at the time of trial. They can't hide information. That's really what the Brady material ultimately comes down to. But you're 100% correct, Ben. That, they are supposed to provide to the grand jury all fair and legitimate information, but that's not what happens. It didn't happen when they decided to potentially go after me. It's not how they're going after Comey. It's not how they go after anybody. They tell their story, and it's only their story. There is no defense that's present at the time. And so it's why, I don't know, 98+% of all cases that go to grand juries determine that an indictment is forthcoming. It doesn't take a rocket scientist. It doesn't take even a seasoned lawyer. within which to tell a story to a group of grand jury seated individuals, the story that you want them to. And as long as you're able to make something that's semi-cogent, you will be successful in getting the indictment approved.
So again, I mean, here we are, Michael Cohen, October 9th, 2025. The government is shut down because Donald Trump and Republicans don't want to extend Affordable Care Act credits. Want to rip away people's health care. They're covering up the Epstein files. You have James Comey indicted, made his first court appearance this week. You have New York Attorney General Letitia James indicted. We have masked ICE agents roaming through the streets of cities and towns, pointing their weapons out the windows at people.
Jesus.
Like,
I mean, could you imagine, Ben, if you're on the street? I want our viewers, please don't take this down for a second. You got a masked guy with a hat holding an assault rifle out of what appears to be some sort of a military style vehicle. Imagine if you are standing on the street, any one of us, I don't care how tough you think you are, that's going to scare the shit out of you. What if hypothetically you're walking down the street with your kid, right? With a young kid, and they see this coming out? How do you even know that that individual in that vehicle is actually government? Not just some fucking wackadoodle wearing camouflage who happens to have an assault rifle simply because the state doesn't require anything more than a driver's license. I mean, this is crazy, crazy stuff. This is not normal.
They're sending these people, too, these masked individuals, through the heart of cities, whether it's Chicago or whether it's Los Angeles or you name the city. They're going through it, mostly blue states and blue cities. They're putting them through, and they are intentionally trying to terrorize people. I mean, in Chicago, there was an injunction issued against ICE and the Trump regime, basically saying you have to stop engaging in chemical warfare against journalists, and you can't just start shooting journalists in the face with pepper balls and pepper spray and other chemical agents. I mean, a judge had to issue this order. It is hereby ordered that defendants, their officers, their agents, and all people acting on their behalf are enjoined from, in this judicial district, from using riot control weapons, including kinetic impact projectiles, compressed air launchers, OC spray, CS gas, CN gas, and other chemical irritants, munition launchers, less lethal shotguns, specialty impact chemical munitions, controlled noise and light distraction devices, electronic control weapons on members of the press, protesters, or religious practitioners who are not posing an immediate threat to the safety of law enforcement or others.
So
Cohen,
Ben,
just think that
I am, and
what
know
I
that
just
there-
read, a judge had to say, you can't be doing that to the government. You need to stop.
Could you imagine if they turn around and they add and say, you can't stab them, you can't hit them with a baseball bat or a 9-iron. How you would say to me, is there something wrong with you, Michael? Why would you even turn around and say, this isn't just insane? This goes way beyond insanity. You're talking about a judge enjoining government from shooting people with rubber balls, those projectiles. They call them they're like beanbags, right? They also have these blinding lights. They also have this thing that will mess up your hearing and make you dizzy to fall down. They had a woman who was just taking a video of the protest, and she engages. Did you see this video, Ben? She's engaging in an argument with one of the ICE officers. Another stands behind him, puts his hand on the other guy's shoulder, reaches for a canister, which I believe was a bear spray or a pepper spray. And I'm not talking about, one of the little cans that you keep in your pocket when you're walking to and from your car. I'm talking about one that looks like the size of a Febreze bottle. And he sprayed this woman in the face with what probably would amount to about a half a pound worth of pepper spray, to the point, forgetting about being blinded and ending up on the floor. It ended up in her nostrils and in her mouth to the extent she couldn't breathe and went into full panic mode, as any person would. And he then takes him and they back up in a military style manner to ensure that there's no repercussion to them. And what was she doing? She was videotaping their behavior. You then watch, in the same sort of protest going on, a priest, a member of the cloth, is sitting there yelling to them, "Is this really what you think Jesus would do?" And you know what he got for that snide-ass comment by Department of War, by these ICE agents, by these federalized National Guard? He got shot in the top of his head with a rubber bullet that knocked him to the ground. Were they really nervous? Were they scared? Were they afraid that maybe Jesus would come down from the heavens and strike them down for these actions? Just imagine how stupid we look now to the rest of the world. I do, however, want to say one last thing. I was right, by the way, when I told you, I don't call myself an oracle or a Nostradamus or anything like that. In fact, Jeremy, if you have it, not once, but twice, I told you James Comey would be first, and I told you Tish James would be second, and I do really believe that Adam Schiff will be third. They're coming after everybody, literally everybody. They do not believe that letting any of this stuff go hurts them at all. In fact, they think that it makes them stronger. And I weave what I just said about the indictments with now Tish James into what's happening right now, for example, in Chicago or in Portland or in DC or Los Angeles. You've heard even today at that roundtable of ass kissing, you heard them turn around and say, we don't care what the governors or the mayors have to say. They don't care about that. What they care about is just putting another W in their win column, even though it's certainly, and nobody should consider it to be a W.
Things are, while this government is shut down, which I think Trump wants it shut down. It's obvious it was shut down before. Like, let's face it, right? Like, now we're in an official shutdown, but really, Cohen, before, was the government actually functioning? Once Elon Musk came in with that chainsaw and destroyed all of the various layers and agencies of government, government was effectively disabled in a material way. Just for everybody, Cohen's posting the article where he predicted, put it up one more time. It says, Michael Cohen says, pull it up if you got it, Cohen.
I will.
He's got it in a second. But it is one of the things, though. There it is. It says, Michael Cohen predicts Letitia James, Adam Schiff will face, they use the word accountability for alleged mortgage fraud. It's not the word that I would use. I would say retribution for phony charges, but whatever. That just shows you how things are reported. But also, it is why, though, Cohen, when there are lots of people who sometimes get upset at you for saying things, and making these predictions. I know you care. Well, you can care a little bit. Sometimes you respond to them a little bit, but not
today. Today's my 31st wedding anniversary. I don't care what any of these people say.
Starting today,
as long as my wife's not throwing me out, I'm good.
This is happy 31st wedding anniversary. Starting today, your comments don't matter. Won't get under Cohen's skin. Other days we can. We'll just we'll Men in Black magic wand that. But it does seem, Cohen, that things are escalating at a pace right now, particularly now, where maybe it's that we're heading into the first year's almost done. and Trump's looking around and saying, this is not moving yet as fast as I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to happen in 100 days. Why the hell are we October and this hasn't happened? It certainly seems, Cohen, that this current regime is operating under the view that there's going to be no more elections. They're certainly operating under the idea that this is a dictatorship, that there is no need for other branches of government, and that this is Putin's world now. This is the authoritarians' world now, and this is how they're ruling. It's really no different. That's the behavior. When I spoke to Senator Schatz recently, I'm going to release that interview in the next day or two. I've done so many interviews that I'm so behind in getting these interviews out. I got to get them all out. The point that he said is, that's certainly where Trump wants things to be and how he's behaving. Senator Schatz's only point is that we can't behave as though we've lost our power, because in a dictatorship, the people have ceded their power, basically.
Yeah.
And he said, like, though I understand it, he goes, I just want to make sure that the rhetoric that refers to what's happening is not accepting the defeat. And that is saying, as long as we still have people like a Governor Newsom or a Pritzker or you name it out there fighting, then we are, then something still exists. And I have to say, Cohen, at least in the House and the Senate, by calling Trump's bluff on the shutdown, by exposing, it's the first time in a while, though, that I've really seen, and I'll get your view on it because you've been very critical of leadership, and rightfully so. But I do think that it's like, okay, they get it now. They're fighting. I at least see the steps. I mean, even when Mike Lawler tried to step, did you see that step in Hakeem's
I most
face?
certainly did.
And Hakeem came back and is like, you're seeing Brooklyn Hakeem now. He goes, not Beltway Hakeem. And I think we all like to see more Brooklyn Hakeem.
Yeah. So you're right. He's Hakeem Jeffries is so measured in every word that emanates from his mouth. That's not what we want to see. It's not what I want to see. I want to see Hakeem, right, when Lawler comes at him, turn around and say to him, fuck out of here, you half in the bag idiot. All right? And let me be very clear about something. This government shutdown belongs to you. You could take your talking points memo bullshit. You could stuff it up your ass because it's you who are hurting the American people. Don't lay your bullshit on me. Have a nice day. Piss off, asshole. That's what he should have said. You really want to make an impact? And you can't speak like that. You're a member of Congress. Bullshit. When you sit there and you show, for example, a porno video of Hunter Biden whacked out on crack in the middle of Congress on the floor, you know what? All bets are off right now. You want to fight in this playground with this group of people? You fight with you fight on equal territory. It's just enough of having to be above the fray. Those days of Michelle Obama when she's like, "Oh, they hit low, we go high," or Hillary Clinton saying it and so on. That Democratic talking point, bullshit. They hit low, we go lower. You go lower, and you say, "Oh yeah, but that's not really." Yes, it is. That's how you have to fight this group of individuals. They lie to your face. They then have more people repeat the lie. They continue to regurgitate the same lie. And by the way, not every single thing, right, is a lie, but I'm talking about the stuff that is truly just a lie, like this is a democratic government shutdown. Why? Because they won't capitulate to everything that you want and screw over 28 million Americans who will end up getting hurt? Seriously? When you have Marjorie Taylor Greene, and you know how badly we used to attack MTG on this show, when you have Marjorie Taylor Greene as the North Star in this argument, whether it's the Epstein file, whether it's the government shutdown, you know that they have lost their way and that the boat is smashing into the rocks because this is out of control. They want to hit you in, they want to go low. Let's just go lower. Let's just go lower. You want to make this into a street fight? Fuck it. Fuck it. No holds barred. They want to come with boxing gloves. You come with brass knuckles. They want to come with a baseball bat. You come with a machine gun. End of story. There is no way to fight this group of people being kind and courteous. Kindness and courtesy belong to people who deserve it, and they are not. So let's get angry. Let's get unified. Let's get stronger than we already are. And I say it all the time. Let's grow this community to be so big, so strong, so vocal, so loud, so angry that there is no way that this 2026 midterm election doesn't go the way we need it to.
You know, as we're in this shutdown and Americans are terrified that they're going to lose their health care. That's what's happening right now with the disastrous budget bill and the failure to extend the ACA subsidies. Donald Trump's out there, and this is his go-to move, but it's not really landing the same way, where he just says to the people, just the words, the empty words is, we're the party of healthcare, we're protecting your healthcare, we're saving you, we have the greatest plan. And you know, people are saying, okay, well, where is it? Because we're at the end of the line of the Ponzi scheme. We've reached the end. Where
Ben, do you remember the movie, the Dodgeball?
I do remember.
Okay. Do you remember when he turns around and he goes, you got to get mean. You got to get angry. He takes a wrench and he throws it and he hits the guy right in the nuts, right? That's what you have to do. You're not going to turn around and throw a ball. Throw a fucking wrench, right? Right at his goddamn head. That's what you need to do. We have to get pissed. And by the way, every single person, you know, and I say it all the time, here at Midas Touch Network. How many subscribers now, Ben? 5,500,000?
5.5, yeah.
5.5 million. Imagine if each and every subscriber brought just one person. Can that be everybody's assignment for 1 week? Actually, don't make it a week. Make it till Tuesday. And I would expect by Tuesday there to be 11 million subscribers. How hard can it possibly be? It's not. What are we offering here? We offer truth. We offer facts. No innuendo, no bullshit, no kind words. Kind words go where kind words are deserved. Like I woke up this morning, I was so happy, gave my wife a kiss. It was 4:30 in the morning, went to write for my Substack. I woke her up just to wish her, obviously, a happy anniversary. I went out to go write my Substack, and I'm watching the television at the same time. I'm saying to myself, wow, look at what's going on. Now you have the hostages are going to be released. I couldn't be happier. The bombs are going to stop. The destruction in Gaza, 400 plus vehicles a day going to go in to feed these people, start to rebuild, and so on, try to bring some peace to the Middle East. I couldn't have been happier. I could not have been happier that phase one of this plan, because I do want to see peace. I want to stop seeing death on both sides. And then all of a sudden, boom. Everything else starts coming in. It's like a tidal wave of chaos. It's a tidal wave of chaos.
Where I want to push back and debate with you or have a discussion on. First off, let me just say something else. Metaphorical wrench, not a real. Don't throw real wrenches at people. Metaphorical wrench. You have to get aggressive, though, with peaceful protest.
By the way, I was quoting a movie, Ben.
It's quoting a movie, absolutely. Separately, though, here's the debate I want to have, though, because even though Trump, they're saying that there's phase one and that there's a peace deal, we've been here before, haven't we? I mean, they said there was a ceasefire in January. Donald Trump announces things all of the time, you know, that it doesn't happen. The thing that I want to be very circumspect about is a spiking of the football that this is anything but Donald Trump's empty words. Let's talk about that. Okay. But I'll show people this is what I mean. Donald Trump from today, though, saying we've become the party of healthcare. So the guy who says we, the GOP, are the party of good healthcare is also the guy saying, here, we've got a deal. And here, so play this clip first. Let's play it.
Government at the same funding levels. We're not going to do anything only good for healthcare. We're really, I think, become the party of good healthcare. And they keep using healthcare as a cudgel. They want to try and get everyone thinking about healthcare. We're the ones that are saving healthcare.
Okay, so obviously that's bullshit. But here's the other part though that's more relevant. I'm just showing that to show you that he lies about everything. But then he's asked the question today about exactly, you know, what you said, Cohen, though, which is, okay, so there's this 20-point deal or whatever, a 20-point plan. So do you, Donald Trump, support a two-state solution, right? You can't get more basic of a question. Do you support? So we understand what his framework is, right? Do you support, Ben, do you support a two-state solution? Yes, I do.
Me too.
I'd like to see a free Palestine. I'd like to see in Israel. I'd like to see both. Okay. That's what I'd like to see. I believe in a two-state solution. I want to see peace, and I condemn in the strongest terms the atrocities that have been committed in Gaza. It is heartbreaking and tragic, and there's no words that can describe that some of the heinous acts amongst innocent lives that were taken in Gaza, thousands and thousands of innocent lives, and we need those hostages returned. And of course, condemning in the harshest terms everything that happened on October 7th. Horrific, beyond nightmarish, disgusting. Return the hostages. Do I believe in a two-state solution? Yes, I do. I want to see a free Palestine. It's very I'm not the president of the United States, right? But if you heard me, that's how you have to articulate. Like, you have to give a framework. So ultimately here, when Donald Trump's asked, do you want to see a two-state solution? Or as Trump's plan, I guess, Israel taking it all. What's the plan? What are you doing? Watch what he says when he's asked this question. Let's play.
They'll be very much involved in making it as good as possible.
And what's your take now on a two-state solution, sir? Just to follow up on that, what is your view now on a two-state solution for the?
I don't have a view. I'm going to go with what they agree to.
Mr. President, given that there are some tough.
I don't have a view. I'm going to agree on what they've agreed to. Who's the they? Aren't you?
By the way, isn't it your 20-point plan that you want to go tomorrow to ensure that you get the Nobel Peace Prize? What?
Let's talk about that and more. Let's take our first quick break. It's the only break of the show. Everybody, make sure you subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe as well to the Mea Culpa audio podcast, wherever audio podcasts are available. Subscribe as well to Michael Cohen's Substack on Substack. Subscribe to our Substack and go to patreon.com/political beatdown. Everybody, will be right back after our first and only quick break of the show.
Not going to lie. I've been cleaning up pretty well on Prize Picks this year. I mean, this week, I'm looking at the board and selecting Josh Allen for more than 270 pass yards. Prize Picks, it's simple to play. Just pick more or less on at least two players' stats. And if you get your picks right, you could win cash. Play Prize Picks to get action on football in more than 40 plus states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Prize Pick is the only app that offers stacks, meaning that you can pick the same player up to 3 times in the same lineup. So you want to pick more on Josh Allen's pass yards, rush yards, and touchdowns? Now you can pick all of them in the same lineup, only on Prize Picks. Follow other Prize Picks players directly on the app and copy their lineups in one click. Whether it's a friend, a celebrity partner, or just someone whose picks you like, hit the follow button and check out every lineup they create in the new Feed tab on Prize Picks. On Prize Picks, how you play, it's up to you. If you want flexibility, choose Flex Play, where you can get paid even if one of your picks misses. And if you want the biggest payouts, go for the Power Play. So no matter your play, Prize Picks is a great way to put your takes to the test. Prize Picks puts their users first, so all withdrawals are fast and secure. Prize Picks offers Venmo, Apple Pay, MasterCard, and more for quick and easy deposits into your account this football season. So go right now and download the Prize Picks app today and use code BEATDOWN to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code BEATDOWN, BEATDOWN, to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right.
Welcome back to Political Beatdown.
And you know why I'm so good at Prize Picks?
Why are you so good? For good
My son,
predictor.
gives,
You're
my,
prescient.
my son gives me all the answers. Honestly,
Well,
I can't take it away. He is like a walking sports encyclopedia. I had to stop him from, going on to all these different apps because, especially Prize Picks, I don't like gambling, at all. But when you have somebody on your side who's like a legitimate prognosticator for these things, he just knows. He just knows everything. It's crazy.
well, you both are prescient.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah. He's just so good at it.
but Cohen, here's my thing as well. Though when we talk about Trump announcing this deal, that deal, he's objectively lied about every deal thus far, like all of them, every single one. Right? Has there been Has there been one deal that he's talked about that has actually done the things that the deal says it's going? One, I mean, Japan's not giving us $550 billion. South Korea is not giving us $350 billion. He didn't
Wait,
do
they're
peace
not?
with India. He didn't
They're
do.
not?
What is that?
I thought the money was on the tariff shelf.
Tariff shelf, $17 trillion, India, Pakistan. Remember how he started off? He had the guys from OpenAI and Oracle and all the top people say $1 trillion in like AI. There was like they were going to come together as like SoftBank. There was this consortium and there was going to be this $1 trillion. They haven't even invested $1 billion yet, out of that consortium. So to me, I mean, Biden, when he would announce the deal, wasn't thirsty for a Nobel Peace Prize or like, I've done the thing. The hard work begins after you announce that. Anybody can make announcements of anything. Like you could announce, especially when you're doing it from the pedestal of the presidency. It's easy to make an announcement. It's hard to do the things. And, I did a video this morning where I also analyzed Trump he's going to Walter Reed tomorrow. He says it's his annual checkup, but he had his annual checkup in April. So I guess you do two annual, none of what he said. He said, I'm going to see the troops, then do my annual checkup. But his last annual checkup was done in April. But I was showing clips of Trump standing next to these world leaders. Most recently, Prime Minister Carney, before that, Prime Minister Keir Starmer. And, he would say the $17 trillion line, and they would be looking at him, Cohen, the way someone would look at like a dementia adult human being. Like their faces to him were like, okay. And I don't want mental, cognitive to mask the nefariousness and the intentionality. So I often want to be careful when I message health-related things as a non-doctor.
Yeah, I don't mean to interrupt you on that one, but it's not an issue of dementia. It's the latter point that you just brought up. It's intentional. The statements that he's making are intentional. They are designed within which to confuse, to distract, to distort, and so on. But he does not. And I want to repeat it again. Knowing him better than any human being should know another human being. I'm telling you from firsthand knowledge and from firsthand experience, he is not suffering from dementia. He's just not telling the truth for a reason.
And, I saw someone post this and it resonated with me. It's like, we're taking all of the Eastern European authoritarian kind of cliche like lies, that were done 30, 40 years ago before a lot of these regimes fell. And it's just kind of being recycled now into the United States. And all of these Soviet-ish types of like gigantic lies to otherize the other political party and, the enemy from within stuff. Like it's not like Trump came up with this playbook. It's the first time that it's really found this vessel in the United States that is able to push it. And we all thought here, this would never come to our country, but it's here and everything's bigger in the United States. So we're seeing what it looked like in these Soviet satellite countries, but now in the United States at this scale. And because also our system of federalism with states' rights that ironically or unironically, the Republicans focus so much on, you have this tension between this states' rights, don't tread on me, and the ultimate treading with these Eastern European Soviet tropes of, it's no, I mean, when Putin says, we have to denazify, right? And you're like, what do you denazify Ukraine? The leader's a Jew. Like, what are you talking? Zelensky's Jewish, denazify.
But what he does, Ben, is the same thing that Trump is doing. Do you know, on this show, you and I have had this conversation now dozens of times. And again, because of my long history, I understand things slightly different. He will take a piece of sand, one piece from an entire beach, and make that piece of sand the entire beach. You could, if you're a mathematician, whatever he says becomes the denominator. So if it's one piece out of a billion pieces of sand, it's 1/1. Therefore, it becomes the beach. It is the same exact thing. Vladimir Putin does the exact same thing. That's where Trump gets much of this stuff from. Yes, Ukraine is anti-Semitic. Ukraine has always been anti-Semitic. You may say, well, why would you say that, Michael? Oh, the president is Jewish. Yes, that happens to be true. My wife, along with tens of thousands of Jews in 1972 and 1973, were given an option to leave the country because of their religion. In fact, my wife's birth certificate doesn't have her as USSR, as Soviet. Her nationality was Jewish, and there was massive anti-Semitism. Ask any Ukrainian that you meet. Now, does that mean that Ukraine today is still anti-Semitic as a whole? Absolutely not. But there is still anti-Semitism there. No different than you have racism in America. You still have the Klan. Does that mean that all of America is racist? Absolutely not. But what they do is they take that subset, they make it the denominator, therefore it's 100%. And you know what? I'll tell you something, it's effective, because especially to the group of his supporters, they truly understand, and they harp on it, and they just keep repeating it and regurgitating it over and over and over again, as Stalin used to say, to make the lie become the truth.
Did you notice too where MAGA Mike Johnson kind of gave the game away, where he shows up and he talked about repetition, like he was clearly coached by Trump, and then MAGA Mike's like, well, that's why I'm here. I got to keep repeating this over and over again. They say that repetition's the most important thing. So what I'm just trying to tell you is turn to page 57, go to line 243, subsection C. You'll see it right there. The Democrats are trying to give illegal immigrants health care. That's what they're trying to do. I'm just letting you know, go to the page. Yes, that is what's happening. And it's like, so you go to the page thinking that it's going to say, right, Democrats are I go to the page and I look at it, and the page is like, hereby remove subsection 3. I'm like, okay, first off, it doesn't say that. I go, so what's this about? Oh, it's just simply saying that if you're here lawfully, like if you are if you've been granted asylum, and if you have temporary protected status, so you're here on your papers, you're here lawfully, then you can be entitled to, because you're paying taxes, you have paperwork, you're doing what you need to be doing, that you can be entitled to some health care. But how is that unlawful? Are you considering asylum seekers and people who are here on temporary protected status as unlawful? And the answer is they are. That's what they are. They want all, and MAGA Mike, though, and Senator Thune, there's no one, J.D. Vance, none of them can do what Trump does. Like and one of the problems that they have with this shutdown is that MAGA Mike and Thune, Trump would have to be talking about it every single day, make this his big priority. Trump wants the government shut down. So they don't know how to handle it. Democrats are finally messaging strongly. We've seen the rise of people like Newsom at state level showing national leadership, but we've seen leaders emerge right now in the Democratic Party. They're all out. They can't do his shtick.
Nope.
They can't imitate it.
Nope. You know, Ben, this morning I was watching MSNBC and they have, I forget what his name is. He's got the round glasses. He does all of the charts. And I was blown away. There's actually information in there that I did not know, but I certainly have been using it all day long. In the chart, he turns around and he says, they're making this issue, as Trump will say, we're spending billions and billions and billions of dollars, right? Giving health care to these illegals. That's what the Democrats want to do. So he actually pulled up a chart, and the chart showed exactly how much money gets spent from the totality of 100% on illegal individuals, illegal migrants, or just people who are here illegally in this country. Ben, do you know what the percentage was?
What's the
I
percentage?
was blown away.
What is it?
Take a wild, just give me a wild guess.
Say the question. The percentage of
The
unlawful
percentage
migrants getting health care?
of money from the budget that gets spent to pay for health care for undocumented or illegal.
Since it only exists in the context of EMTALA, emergency medical treatment in emergency rooms, I would have to say it's under 5%.
0.4%. 0.04%. It is such a minuscule number. It's a rounding error. 0.4%. That's what he turned around and he showed. And he goes, it wasn't Steve Kornacki. It's, to me, so easy to verify. I ask everybody, and this is what I keep constantly saying, I don't want you to take anybody's word for fact. You could do the investigation yourself simply by asking Google or a ChatGPT type, an AI. Hey, ChatGPT, tell me what's the percentage, yada, yada. And it will give you the articles. These aren't articles written for Political Beatdown, for Ben Meiselas or Michael Cohen. Yes, Steve Ratner. It is written for the American people, not Republicans, not Democrats, not independents, for all of us. Do a scintilla worth of research, and you will see it is a minuscule amount, and that is what Ben and I are constantly trying to reinforce. That we must stop the lies. We must call the lies out for what they are. They're just bullshit.
I'm seeing right now that the New York Attorney General Letitia James case was assigned to Judge Walker of Virginia, appointed by former President Biden in 2023. The reality is, what we're seeing, though, is regardless of if it was a judge appointed by a Biden or an Obama, in Portland, Oregon, it was the Trump-appointed judge who Trump touted this judge in Portland, Oregon, back in 2019 when he appointed her. And she's like, I'm here. I'm in Portland. You're just making this up. It's not a war zone. It's not war ravaged. There's nothing on the ground that in any way is requiring the military invasion of Portland. Like, what are you talking about? And then she issued the injunction against Trump, stopping Oregon National Guard from being used. So then Trump calls up the California National Guard, and then she calls him back that night. She's like, what are you doing? How could you possibly interpret my order, which said you can't have National Guard here for the reasons, as saying you only meant National Guard in Portland, Oregon? And she goes to the lawyer for Trump. She goes, you're a member of the bar. Like, that you
Right.
you are an officer of the court. Like, and she repeated that over and over and over again. Like, what are you doing coming in here and saying these types of things? So whether really this case was assigned Obama or whether it was assigned Biden or a Trump appointed judge. Now, the new wave of Trump appointed judges that he's trying to push, but he actually hasn't been doing a great job filling these spots because a lot of judges aren't retiring. There's not these vacancies because no one wants to retire. Like among the judges, it's like those admirals and generals who were in the room with stone-faced. The judges are all basically clinging on to life, some of them quite literally, so that they're not replaced by any vacancies that Trump can fill, including, Republican judges, because they know what that means. But when you look at this case involving New York Attorney General Letitia James, as you dig into it, what the other lawyers said, it's time barred, that there's no there at all on the application, that that this isn't, this isn't a case. And we saw Cohen with Abrego Garcia in the Middle District of Tennessee, what that federal judge ordered. She ordered robust discovery into the issue of vindictive prosecution, which means a lot of these communications behind the scenes, text messages, Pam Bondi's involvement, like Pam Bondi can be deposed. If you look at the motions that James Comey set, vindictive prosecution, outrageous government conduct, grand jury abuse motions that they already have their motion dates October 20th and October 30th. So in 10 days, you're going to hear the Comey. In Virginia, you've got a rocket docket, they call it. And so Halligan better be ready, because Letitia James and Comey are going to have the best lawyers in the country, and they're going to be drilling down on what the hell took place in that grand jury room, who these witnesses are, who the people are, how they're going to prove their case. It's I would say it's a sad day for the country, but it's a mountain of that. It is, to me, it does show a level of desperation from Trump right now. To me, I don't view these acts as acts of strength. I really don't. I view them as signs of panic and weakness and frantic and doing everything he can to impose this authoritarian agenda as American people are looking at it and going, what the hell's going on here? Cohen, two-finger salute. Who's it going to go to?
Two-finger salute has to go to the moron himself, Michael Lawler, who decided that he wants to run around trolling everybody like Walter Masterson does, right? But Walter Masterson's a fucking comic, and he's funny as hell. This guy shows up at this office to troll somebody. He then shows up in front of Hakeem Jeffries to troll them, and he's trolling them with lies. And you're just supposed to sit there because he's Republican, because he's now professing the same horseshit that this administration is doing, and you're supposed to just accept it for fact. All right. And when you push back, they all get angry and go, well, that's not that. You're not telling the truth. You're lying. You guys are just repeating the lie. So Mike Lawler, seriously, there comes a point in time where you have to respect the district that you are serving. You have to respect the Constitution. You have to respect our democratic republic more than you respect the person who's sitting in the office of the presidency. Plain and simple. Yes, you got to call out the bullshit for what it was. And so, Mike Lawler, for all of your stupidity and your showmanship, seriously, fuck you. Now, one last thing. Tomorrow, meanwhile, midnight tonight, my next mea culpa, that's the one with the blue background, the icon drops. And I have the MAGA Granny coming on. And why did I choose to have MAGA Granny other than she's just so sweet? She's a sweet older woman. She just got back from Portland, Oregon. Because here's the crazy thing. If you listen to the Republicans, if you listen to Mike Lawler, if you listen to this administration, the whole place is on fire. It's like Fallujah. Everything is a fucking wreck. But she was there, and she has the videos. And it's gotten to a point that unless somebody is there, and I don't even mean the media, I'm talking about just average Joe or Jane citizen. Yeah, I love her too. Unless you have these people that are there that speak up and say, I don't know what he's talking about. I was there. There were no cars on fire, no buildings on fire. Yeah, people were protesting, holding up signs. One woman, she tells the story, was literally standing. I told that part of the story already. She was holding up her camera, taking a video. They came there and they pepper sprayed her. I mean, this is not a joke. She couldn't breathe. She ended up in the hospital. And good thing she, I guess, had medical coverage. Because if not, I don't know. Who knows what would end up happening. But this is not a joke anymore, Ben. Not a joke.
You know, and somebody like a Mike Lawler in many ways is even worse than a Trump. He's someone who, you know, goes out, if that's even possible, he goes out there and pretends that he's this moderate guy and, you know, I'm just trying to, you know, help my constituents, while he walks his constituents into death, as he walks his constituents into atrocities. And yeah, no, I echo that two-finger salute with Lawler. And it's just, this is a very simple solution when it comes to the Affordable Care Act subsidies. Just extend the subsidies the same way you extended tax cuts for the billionaires. And then if you believe, Trump and MAGA, that you have a better plan than the Affordable Care Act, because my view is you have universal health care, you have Affordable Care Act, which is a worse version of universal health care where you still have expensive monthly premiums, but the subsidies try to bring them down. If you have some other solution that exists,
Offer it.
Offer it. Just give us the actual plan and the details and lay it out and own it and walk us through how it's different than what existed before Obamacare, the Affordable Care Act, where 20 plus million Americans didn't have insurance and they would just die. They would just die and not get health care. And it was still crazy expensive. So what's your alternative solution? Come up with one. Let's hear what it is.
Right.
Because Trump said and then pass a law and get it into law and do the work of government the way Obama did, and then lower it. We all would love 1,600% decreases in prescription drug prices, because then I'll get $1,600 every time I go and buy my medication. I'd love to earn a $1,600 check from. I'd love pharmaceutical companies to pay me. Cohen, I may just show up every day, you know, and $1,600 a day they're going to pay me.
You're going to start making up illnesses.
Make up? Why not? You know, but it's ridiculous. We need just serious.
We're going to save you 500, some 1,000, some 1,500, 3,000% on your pharmaceuticals. Anybody that understands simple, basic math understands there's no such thing. No such thing.
$17 trillion, negative 1,700%. It's just enough. Grow up, behave like adults. Government, the parties are supposed to speak with each other in a democracy, the way Democrats are trying to do while Republicans are on a vacation. Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers here. Subscribe to Michael Cohen's YouTube channel at The Michael Cohen Show. Subscribe there to at The Michael Cohen Show. Make sure you also subscribe to Mea Culpa audio podcast, wherever audio podcasts are available. Subscribe to Mea Culpa. Subscribe as well to Michael Cohen's Substack, the Political Beatdown Substack. Subscribe to the Midas Touch Substack and go to patreon.com/Political Beatdown. And we have to do that live. We have to do a Zoom for all our Patreon friends. I know today's Tuesday. Done. Tuesday. Jeremy, Tuesday, be there. Done. All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next time on Political Beatdown. Remember to tune into the Brother Show this evening at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific. Thanks, everybody.